Answering a table topic comes in a number of steps. It relies on what you do before you answer the question and what you do after and while you answer the question. So before, you can actually do a lot of work and help yourself. The first tip is a two-pronged tip. One prong is listen, and the other prong is don't panic. They kind of go together. Because what you find is, when someone asks you one of these topics, the first thing you're doing is, I don't know, please don't pick me, don't pick me, don't pick me. Please don't ask me. And then when you're asked, you said, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. What you're doing there is wasting time. Wasting valuable time where you could be coming up with a reasonable answer as opposed to, what was the question again? So, listen. Listen to the question. Today I'm going to ask the question twice, so it's doubly effective. If you didn't hear it the first time, you will hear it the second time. So listen to the question and try and kind of let it flow over you. Listen to the words. See if there's any words that kind of you can free associate with. What images, what ideas could occur to you when you hear the words of this question? Because those ideas are what you can start with. It may not be your ending result, but you have something you can start talking about immediately by jumping on one of these ideas. Because the whole point of Toastmasters and topics is to be able to speak. And table topics becomes easier after about 10 to 15 seconds. Because you have been speaking for 10 to 15 seconds and you haven't died. So the trick is to get going. You relax a bit more. Your brain comes up with more ideas as you've discovered that you're still not dead. It says, yes, I'm not dead. I can now talk. This is easier. God, what was I worried about? And this happens to everybody. I am especially one of the worst people for panicking when I hear a question. I've just learned to panic really fast. And then get on with it. So the second tip is, you've been asked the question. You've been led up to the stage like a lamb to the slaughter. And I was supposed to be encouraging people, but lamb to the slaughter, and you're up in front of the audience. Do not start speaking immediately. Take a deep breath. Breathe in. Let all the oxygen circulate your body, because oxygen is good. It helps you think. It helps you survive the next 1 to 2 minutes of coming up with something amazing. So let that oxygen in. Smile. Smile. Let that smile spread through your body, because weirdly, when you smile, you trick your body into thinking you're having fun. And hopefully it will spread through your body and you will relax a little bit more along with the breath. And once you've done that, then you begin. Breathe, smile, begin. And smiling is good also because it makes the audience think you're nice and they like you. And they're going to be that much more supportive of you and laugh at slightly funny things instead of you don't have to be too funny. They will be supportive. So far, what are the tips? Listen, don't panic. Breathe, smile, and begin. But you say, that's not really answering. How do I answer the question? Well, one of the big things you need is structure. Because a table topics, impromptu speech, is a speech. So you need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And there's simple structures that we can have. You can have, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I am talking about. In conclusion, this is what I talked about. Same thing works for a table topic. The only problem with table topics is that this is what I'm going to talk about section. Because no one has it. But you can make it up. You could, let's say, my favorite suggestion is war is bad. discuss. So, you're asked that question. You can create an instant structure by saying, war is bad. And there's 3 reasons why war is bad. The first reason is, so now you have a structure. You have your opening, you have 3 reasons, and then you have a conclusion, where you reiterate your 3 reasons and say, that's why war is bad. Very easy. Now Roxy is thinking, what if you don't have 3 reasons? Doesn't matter. You won't have 3 reasons. You only need 1 at best. The other 2 will kind of occur to you as you keep going, but at least you've gotten started. You sound like you know what you're talking about, and everybody's fooled. So how do you answer the question without just having a structure? You make a decision. Something like war is bad. Do you agree or do you disagree? Make a decision. Agree, disagree, and plough ahead. You have eliminated 50% of the things you need to talk about by doing that. An alternative option is to go do the pros and cons. That gives you twice as much things to talk about as if you just made a decision. And when you do pros and cons, then at the end, you make a decision. You say, based on all this evidence, I feel that war is. And that would be your conclusion. Another way to do this is to answer a part of the question. If it's a long question and you don't think you really know how to answer the full question, maybe there's a part of it that you know about, and you can talk about that area. An important way of answering table topics questions is to try and bring in your own experience. Make it personal. Is there something about this topic that reminds you of something that happened to you or in your family or in your friends? And talk about that. Because it's so much easier to talk about something you already know. And if you can link it, and that's brilliant. So see if there's anything that you already know about that you can talk about that links to the topic. Alternatively, table topics is most important for you to remember is not a truth-telling competition. You can lie. Put yourself in the position of someone who knows the actual answer to the question. Imagine what they would say and say it. So if the question is about brain surgery or rocket science, imagine you're a brain surgeon. What would you do if you were a brain surgeon? It doesn't necessarily have to be what a real brain surgeon would do. You might start with the liver, work onto the stomach, and eventually get to the brain. But you're sounding knowledgeable, or as much as you can. And finally, one thing that you can always do is tell a story. If you can find a story from your life, from someone else's life, someone historical, a sportsman, someone who has usually had a challenge, had an experience that matches that question or that topic, grab it. Because again, it's something that's nice and big and chunky that will keep you talking for a while. And as long as it's vaguely related to the topic that you want to talk about, you're there. And while you're talking about this person, you might actually work out why it's vaguely related. All you need to do is, this reminds me of a story that I heard from blah, 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 and you're off. And then at the end you go, and that's why war is bad. And hope for Jesus' sake that it actually matches the question. And that is a simple set of tips on how you can go from being a gibbering wreck to being a very knowledgeable expert who entertains the audience during a table talk session. So to remind you, don't panic, listen to the question, breathe, smile and begin. Answer the question, make a decision, have a structure. There's 3 reasons why, blah, 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 blah. And I'll be interested to see if every single person says there's 3 reasons why. Tell a story. Tell a story that you know. Use link the story in. make it personal. And tell one to, or else, and then when you're making a decision, then don't make a decision until the end. Do pros and cons. And that's really all you need to do when you're standing up here